These guys are definitely subscribed to TNT Go Dutch.
I don't think so. They're walking away.
No. Welcome back to TNT Go Dutch. Today we are exploring around the Leidse Hout and talking about one of our most interesting topics that we had last year, and we're doing a little bit of a refresh on it.
Yeah, last year, about the middle of the year, we put out a video about 7 culture shocks that we've experienced since we moved here, and we've got a few more months under our belts and a full year of living in the Netherlands under our belts. So we have come up with 7 more culture shocks to talk to you about.
And these are things that, as we're sitting at home and we're talking about life in the Netherlands, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So it's just very different from what we experience in the US.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a little bit of a disclaimer on this. We love living in the Netherlands.
Yeah, so it may sound like we're being negative or knocking our lives here. And truly, like Travis said, it's not necessarily positive, not necessarily negative. It's just completely different. And I don't know about you, but I am looking forward to reading all of the comments that tell us to go back home. I have a news flash for you people. This is our home.
Yeah, this is where we live now. And sometimes that's still crazy to think about. But I think without much further, we should get into the first one.
It's a bit controversial, so stay tuned.
The first one is probably one that I wanted to talk about for a while now. And it's Dutch food. And I know this is going to be a weird take on this, but I don't think Dutch food's very good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And I say this not because I don't enjoy like bitterballen or pannenkoeken. Those are very good. I like that quite a bit. But Tompoes is great. I agree. But if you talk to somebody, you ask a Dutch person like, hey, I have some friends coming in from out of town or out of country. We like to go to get some Dutch food. And you know what the response usually is? Why? Why would you want to take them to go get Dutch food? So much of the food seems to be catered towards Dutch taste as well. So you end up with things that we're kind of used to or kind of similar, but aren't exactly how we're used to it.
Are you kind of talking about like seasoning?
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of food here that needs a little bit more spice or seasoning or things like that. And
that's definitely our American palates coming through though.
Yeah, for sure. Especially growing up in like Texas, you have so much more spice on food because of like Mexican food.
Hot sauce on every table in every restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different than it is here. And some of the things like Mexican food, we went to a place to get nachos, and it was
a bar. I wasn't expecting great things, but avocado puree is not guacamole.
Yeah, you need some more spices in there and some jalapenos, tomatoes.
And that's just, I think, just a location thing. Like you're not close anywhere remotely close to Mexico or South America, so that is kind of hard to come by. And I think when you think of Europe and the great cuisines of Europe, like Dutch doesn't come to mind. You're thinking French, you're thinking Italian, you're thinking Spanish. Those are what's coming to mind. You're not coming to the Netherlands to really experience the culinary efforts.
That's fair. I agree with that.
That being said, though, we have had some really great food as we've traveled in the south.
Yeah,
Tilburg,
Breda,
Maastricht.
Yeah.
We've had really, really good cuisine down there. So I do think it does get better.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one, I'm pretty passionate about, and it actually ties into the first one.
Yeah, coming from the food is different here. It feels that breakfast really isn't much of a thing in the Netherlands.
Breakfast and brunch culture in particular, if you're outside of one of the larger cities, it's not really a thing.
Even in Leiden, there's like one restaurant that does kind of a breakfast scene. Brunch, which is Ted's all day.
And they have multiple locations in multiple cities, and it's good.
Yeah, we've been there quite a few times.
It's very good, but I think of brunch as a very like indulgent, Americanized concept that maybe hasn't quite hit Europe yet. Like when we were in the UK, there's a couple places, but even when we were in Paris, like it's just not, it's more just like grab a croissant and get on with your day. And here it's bread.
Hmm. I was talking to one of my Dutch friends, and they're like, "I have bread for breakfast. I have bread for lunch, and that's really it." Even when I was talking to some of my coworkers, one of them's from South Africa, and he even said the same thing. There's no breakfast or brunch culture here. There's none of the let's go out at 10 a.m. and have a big stack of
Pancakes and a
pancakes
mimosa and
and
things
Bloody
like
Mary. Yeah,
that.
nope, not really a thing here.
Yeah. And there are just some mornings that we're like, dang, like a breakfast sandwich just sounds great. And there's really no place to like just grab a sandwich and go.
Or even like McDonald's doesn't serve breakfast here, which is really weird because McDonald's is a huge breakfast section in the U.S.
Yeah. And like Whataburger,
Hmm.
in Texas, they start serving breakfast at 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. It's crazy. And that's just like the convenience culture too, to be able to go and grab a breakfast taco or a breakfast sandwich.
What Tracy and I end up doing most of the time is having breakfast at home. Tracy's an amazing breakfast chef, I would say.
Like I said, I'm passionate about breakfast.
So there's a lot of good things we have, a lot of oats and stuff like that. But it's just would be really nice if we could just have a nice breakfast to pop out to, or even something that we could go and get real quick and bring home. And it outside of maybe some pastries or like a ham and kaas croissant, it's not really a thing. The third one is going to be when you tell people that you live in the Netherlands, you get kind of this look, especially from people that are outside of the Netherlands. They kind of get like, oh, mm-hmm. Because all foreigners seem to think that Netherlands is just two things: weed and the red light district. Yeah, and it's a little bit of a hard myth to dispel.
Yes, but our number 3 is the Netherlands is so much more than Amsterdam.
Absolutely.
And people are not riding through the red light district on their bike, smoking a joint, like eating bitterball. Like, it's not the stereotypical life that I think sometimes gets glamorized on TV and in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people really think that the Netherlands is just what they see in the stag nights photos from Amsterdam and stuff like that. And it's a little bit of an interesting thing being someone who's moved here, because that's what they think that we moved for, when really we moved for opportunities and
better lifestyle, healthier lifestyle. And that's one of the reasons we have this YouTube channel a little bit too, is to show everybody that isn't Dutch that there's so much more to the Netherlands than just Amsterdam.
And it's really the people who just see the, 10 blocks of downtown Amsterdam and assume that that's the entire experience, that when you tell them you've moved here and you lived here, that they think that's all you're going to do is take your bicycle through the red light district to a coffee shop. And so it's really great to be able to explore more of the Netherlands than just that. But it is a little bit weird to feel judged for moving here, that people think that that's all we do.
And there's so much history and culture and art. And although we just knocked it, food.
Sure.
There's so much more than that. And like we said, that's one of the reasons we have this YouTube channel, is to show people that there's way more than just Amsterdam to explore here.
Yeah. One of the things that's kind of funny about being around the Dutch and the Dutch people is their policy towards rules as an individual. Because I feel like a lot of Dutch people don't necessarily follow a rule if they don't believe that the rule should be there.
Case in point, we were on a bus the other day, and there was a gentleman who took out an entire container full of a sandwich and crudité and everything, and was eating, and clearly
right underneath the do not eat sign, he was having a full meal,
full lunch, and offering it to his family members. And we were just kind of like, oh.
And this especially goes a lot for people who have dogs. If there's an area that says, verboden for hunden, so dogs not allowed, they'll say, well, that sign wasn't there last week, and I don't really believe that I should follow it, so I don't follow it. And they let their dog there.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, it's really an interesting thing that if a Dutch person feels that a rule shouldn't be there, they don't really follow it.
Do you want to talk about your favorite thing?
Which is that?
The hand hovering?
Oh, the hand hovering, especially the hand hovering. The Dutch people don't believe that these are police because they're not police. They're like...
It's been explained to us, like, they're essentially like mall cops.
Yeah, like a Paul Blart mall cop type situation where they're enforcing some rules, but if they were going to give you a ticket and you decided you wanted to walk away, they can't follow you or track you down.
I don't know how true that is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let us know in the comments what you think about the handhaving.
And eating on the bus.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. Unless it's like a really smelly, stinky, like egg sandwich. Like that I don't get down with. But.
Yeah. While we have you here, we do want to ask if you could subscribe or comment or like or any of those things.
Share. It really helps us out. And we're looking forward to seeing where we're going to be at the end of this next year.
Yeah, 2023 is going to be a big year for us. I feel it.
Hopefully, yeah.
Some of you may be wondering where we're actually at, and
we're in Leiden.
We're in Leiden. It's actually called the Leidse
Hout,
and it's a park that's a little bit north of Centraal, over kind of near the Al Rijn Hospital. It's beautiful. This is where they have a big festival every year for music. It's a big neighborhood thing. Lots of areas for dogs and
so many animals. We saw some sheep, deer, a white peacock, a black swan. So I'm loving seeing all the animals.
And probably 30 dogs running around with their people.
Honestly, this reminds me a lot of the nature that surrounds your family farmhouse in Texas. Every so often we kind of get the itch to like get out in nature, and this is definitely scratching that itch. At least for me.
It makes me happy to be out here. Tracy, do you know what time it is? Tracy hates telling time in Dutch. It's probably the thing that she's the worst at in Dutch. Why do the Dutch tell time this way? Tell us in the comments below if you know. Why do the Dutch say it's 4:16 by saying it's 14 minutes before the half of 5?
It is what I struggled the most with in our Dutch classes. It is something I struggle regularly with. Travis loves to tease me and just at random points is like, what time is it?
Tell me in Dutch. Tell me in Dutch what time it is, Tracy.
And I am just not very confident with that. Definitely something I'm hoping to practice more this year.
Yeah. So if you are Dutch, don't go to the UK and tell somebody it's 4:30 because they'll think it's 4:30.
When it's really 3:30.
When it's really 3:30.
See?
Hey.
Hey!
So, Tracy.
No.
It's 4:10. What time is it?
It takes me a while to process it.
It doesn't really make that much sense.
The sixth culture shock probably won't come to a shock to you at all if you've been following us for a while. If you have been, you know our desire to have a family and how we've been going through the IVF process. So I'm very type A in the fact that I like to research a lot. So I've done a ton of research on what it's like to have a baby here in the Netherlands. And I've been kind of comparing and contrasting with what it's like to have a child over in the USA. And there's quite a bit of differences.
Yeah, it's very, very different over here in so much that in the US, everything is expected to pretty much happen at the hospital, and you're expected to stay at the hospital for a day or two. If you've ever watched The Office, you know there's a scene where they're trying to get as many days and nights in the hospital as possible by holding off on having the baby till after midnight.
And I think the statistic here is that 36% of women still opt for home births, which is kind of terrifying when all you've known your entire life is hospital birth.
Mm-hmm.
The midwife versus the OBGYN is very interesting. And time in the US, after you give birth, it's essentially like, okay, here's this little human you're responsible for. Bye.
Here's your bill. Make sure you buckle your child up right in the car, and then go.
It's $15,000.
Yeah.
There was even a TikTok I saw recently that women in the US are charged for skin-to-skin contact with your baby.
So after you have the child, to be able to hold the baby on your skin.
It's an itemized cost in the US.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's your child that you've just birthed. Anyway, I could talk about this forever. But in the USA, you're just expected to take your baby and go. There is this amazing thing called a Kramsorg here, where it's essentially like a nurse that comes to your home for a certain amount of days. Sometimes insurance covers it. Apparently they're very high demand, so as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you gotta go sign up for one. But she basically teaches you how to be a mother.
Or how to at least take care of this new human that you're responsible for.
And gives you a bit of a break and rest and like opens the door for visitors. And like that is amazing. And I think the world needs more of that. It definitely feels like there's more of a mentality. There's that saying, it takes like a village to raise a child. And that very much seems like a thing here.
Even the little things like having paternity leave and maternity leave codified into law is a big deal here. As of, I believe, August of 2022, fathers are actually guaranteed a certain amount of paternity leave that does not exist at all in the US. There's no concept of that. I remember people having to take off vacation days. I remember people having their child and then showing up to work the next day because they couldn't take the time off.
And there are some things that are a bit scary, like epidurals and things aren't as common here. And if you give birth naturally in a hospital, generally you're only there for a few hours and then they send you home. And that's kind of terrifying.
Yep.
But I imagine you discuss all of that with a midwife, or if you have a doula. It's just a completely different concept here. And I think the icing on the cake is if you look at the motherhood mortality rate for giving birth in the U.S. versus the Netherlands whoops the U.S.'s butt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of our friends is a NICU nurse, and they say that it's much better here than it is there.
So I am looking forward to me getting to that point.
Me too. And the last one is just generally how happy people are here. Compared to some places in the US, people just seem genuinely the more zest for life. They really
indulge in the simple pleasures. And I don't feel like people take their lives for granted as much here, if that makes sense. There's such a culture of materialism in the US, and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, and you're trying to buy the next designer handbag, or you're trying to get the latest, PlayStation or something like that. But there's not that mentality here, it seems.
And especially with children. There's been polls and stuff. Children are the happiest in the Netherlands, and especially compared to the US. And it's so wild to be able to see children just running down the street or going to the park and seeing 4 or 5 children just playing, and there's no adult in sight.
It warms my heart because in the US, if I were a child, I would be terrified to go to school and wonder if today's going to be the day that someone comes in and shoots up the school. It's awful.
Well, especially the idea of people, abducting your child as a parent in the US. Stranger danger was a big thing, and you didn't let your child go off by themselves or else they get kidnapped.
And it's changed a lot since you and I were children.
Mhm.
Like, I remember playing outside in the streets and making potions in my backyard full of twigs and berries. And I don't feel like that is a thing in the U.S. anymore. And it almost feels like you're forced your children to grow up so fast over there, and here kids can be kids.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I remember going as a kid and riding my bike around for 4 or 5 hours with my friend down the street, with the only rule being be home before it's dark.
The street lights come on.
Yeah, and that's not really a thing in the U.S. anymore.
No, it's too scary.
Mm-hmm. That's our culture shocks this time and what we've experienced since our video in the summer. Do you have more culture shocks that you want to tell us about? Are you an expat living in the Netherlands and want to explain what's different about living here than living where you're from?
And I'm sure we'll come across many, many more as we continue our time living here. So.
Yeah. Please consider subscribing if you like this or you want to see more content like this. If you do like this video, leave a like or a comment down below. It really helps us out.
And if you didn't see our first culture shock video, we'll put that in the description below too, so you can refresh your memory on that or enjoy some of our other content.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week with another fun video.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Bye.